practice, pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's out to Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
X-ray season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that, hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my own flame. I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Welcome everybody to the Morning Update Show. Happy Thursday to you. Or you guys know I love to say Friday Eve because we're almost there at the end of the week. Want to welcome you right here to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and we've got a great lineup today once again for you all. Some good discussion we're going to be getting into later on in the show. And you guys know I got to do that discussion with my duo partner, co-host with the most, Big O. What's up, Big O?
Good morning, Trey Holiday. How are you?
Hey, I'm well. How are you?
All right.
You all right?
Tired, man.
It's been a long week.
Man, you know, this stuff, man, just it takes such a toll. You know, like I'm literally like, I don't know, you know, I mean, we got a COVID test. Like it's I don't think people understand. And I just wish these people would just be honest. But now it's like it's a floodgate opening now. These damn emails and this and that, and you find out all. I mean, this just takes a lot, and people don't get that. Like, man, we just impacted on so many levels. Anyways, we'll just save it for later in the show. But you asked me how I was doing, and I ain't gonna lie to you for the benefit of our audience. Yeah. I'm not doing okay. And you know, we planned so hard going into this year of like, man, this is gonna be just so much about our programming of our community and uplifting our people and everything else, and we're so small here that it's like we we can't even do everything that we want to be doing because we can't ignore what's happening with this situation, with this case. And so everything else is now suffering. So these people keep winning. Let me get to it. Apologies. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. Want to remind you that right now is the perfect time for you to tag and share this stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people you feel would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Want to give a big shout out to our partners over the South Seattle Emerald and KBCS 91.3 over at Bellevue College. I want to remind everybody you can listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. Salman has SoundCloud going over there, but you can also check us out on Google, Spotify, iTunes. Go ahead and put in Converge Media Network. Also, remind everybody, we'll put this link from Public Health, Seattle King County. It's like, yo, if you need to get a vaccine, if you need to get vaccinated, if you need a booster shot, if you want to get tested, or if you're vaccine hesitant, you got questions and concerns, you go ahead and click that link right there in the comments from Public Health, Seattle King County. And, these guys are pretty good. They'll even come out, what I'm saying? In some cases, they can give you a shot where you're at.
Yeah. And, again, I think it's great to be able to look up that link because there's testing sites that are popping up as we're seeing so many more people need testing and people that are rushing to get testing or vaccinated because of all of these variants. There's a lot of folks that I think the testing I feel like is really high right now as a lot of people are just dealing with sickness, and it's, the cold and flu season as it normally would be around this time of the year. But because of these variants, it's heightened in a lot of households right now. And I just keep seeing long lines at testing sites. A lot of people just trying to make sure, do I have it? Is this a regular cold? Do I have the flu? And to try to make the discernment. And it's interesting because as we're getting more information, honestly, a lot of folks are saying that it's becoming a whole mix. So we're seeing a lot of that happen right now. So please click that link so that you can find what you need with regard to COVID and these testing sites.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're waiting for Julia Jessie. Is she back there? Oh, so Julia is there. Also want to remind everybody, for culture, for all you cultural, what's the word now? Cultural producers that are out there. There it is. Good looking, Salman. Got the slide up right there. For culture, man, they got it from $1,000 to $12,000. In grants for people. It's recovery funds, relief funds, 1,000 to 12,000. We have that link there in the comments. A lot of people in our community and beyond. Seattle is a city full of creative producers, and this is a great opportunity to get a little bit of relief.
Yeah, I mean, even folks that we know that work with us here at Converge Media, we have a lot of different partners, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there applying for this relief funding, and we're seeing relief funding come in a wide variety of ways from the federal government. This is another relief fund that I'm glad For Culture is able to disseminate into the community. Again, their intentionality is above par. So really, I love the fact that they're being very open to the application process, helping people throughout it. Again, even if you don't have an actual entity like a business entity, you can still apply for these funds. So if you guys know of folks that have been doing cultural work, artistic work out there in community, maybe as a freelancer doing one gig after a gig, this is a lot of gig economy folks, make sure that they know about this as well because they are qualified to apply for these funds.
Yeah, no, good stuff there. All right, got a handcrafted motion graphic coming up. There it is. Julia Jessie, our very own Julia Jessie, host of Clapback Culture. Go ahead and bring Julia in. Hey, Julia.
Hi, Julia.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Man, no complaints. Busy over here in DC, as you can imagine.
Of course. And I gotta say, shout out to Never Black Down. See, I got the DC. I got DC repping today. This is a DC brand out there. Jules hit me to it. Thanks so much again, Jules, for letting me buy this hat straight off your head.
Looking good on you, girl. Looking hella good on you, for sure.
Right on. Well, what's going on over there, man? Give us some of the details. I know Clapback is happening tonight, 7 p.m. We want to hear from you. What's really going on? What are people going to be able to expect out there tonight on Clapback?
Yeah, thanks, Trey. I mean, another exciting day on Clapback, you guys. Tonight's episode, we're going to focus on a lot, but one thing I do want to remind you guys about is something you may not have heard of, and it's more COVID-19 news. But wait, a little something special. The US military, you guys, has been working on a COVID vaccine that's supposed to be able to knock out every single variant. So it's some really cool updates on that. Scientists in the US Army are developing this vaccine, and it's supposed to go against future variants as well as the SARS variant. And so it's important to mention, I think, that early on, this research has been being done since early 2020. So this is not something that they just kind of came up with spur of the moment. And they're really looking for something that has, long lasting effects. And so they've just wrapped up phase 1. There's some really positive outcomes that have come into that. And now they're, wrapping up phase 1, moving on to phase 2 trials, going into the human trials. And, and these scientists, these researchers at the Walter Reed in Institute of Research, they expect that this is going to go well. And so what we're talking about is no more Omicron, right? And no more mutations of any COVID after that. But there is one snag, and the snag is that they need to be able to test this vaccine on people who, 1, have not been vaccinated, and 2, have not been exposed or tested positive to COVID-19. And you're just thinking, like, with the Omicron variant, who lives in that pool of people? But they have found people to be a part of these trials, and it's really, really positive. Scientists are optimistic that they're going to find something that is going to get us out of this pandemic finally. So here we are, some good news as it relates to COVID, and we're going to be talking about that on Clapback Culture tonight at 7 p.m. Please tune in and learn some more and drop some comments in that comment section.
Oh my gosh, Jules, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I can only imagine how this is gonna spark discussion tonight on Clapback, because we have a lot of people that are still vaccine hesitant, particularly because of these variants and because the sickness has been spreading amongst people that are vaccinated or unvaccinated. I mean, look, I just watched a clip last night that literally said, hey, look, this is not about the unvaccinated anymore. There was this huge dialogue between folks who were vaccinated and those who weren't, and the unvaccinated are spreading COVID. But now we see that it's hitting everybody. And so this is a good one, Jules, tonight, that I'm sure will be sparking some discussion in that comment section for you and Mike to be able to go through.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are also just exhausted with the idea of getting more and more boosters, more and more this and that. And so if we can get a shot that's one and done, that's going to take out not only the variant that is present in the moment, but future variants, I think myself, I'm going to sign up to do that. And so this is great. The medical researchers are still saying that they need to evaluate this vaccine in a real world setting, with more people, right? With larger numbers of people and individuals who have been sick and who also are vaccinated. So the trials are still happening. But again, researchers are optimistic, and this is something that we should get excited for, I think.
All right, Julia, Jessie, it's always good to see you. Can't wait till we can see you again here in studio. Clapback Culture. We'll go wide right here, Salman, so we can wave bye. Thank you, Julia.
Thanks, Jules.
We'll be tuned in tonight at 7, and can't wait to see you again here on the Morning Update Show next week.
Sounds good. Have a good one, y'all.
All right. Peace. Yo, like Clapback, these guys, they've come out strong in 2022. Her and Mike Davis, of course, is directed by Curtis Delgado II, is the director for Clapback Culture, and yeah, they've been amped up.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic. We talk about it every single day when we throw that public health link in the comments. It's continued discussion. So I'm excited to see how it unfolds tonight, because this one vaccine for all variants and for basically all things sickness right now that we're seeing out there, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to have a discussion here about these latest developments that are coming out around this Proud Boy hoax case. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Hey guys, Besa Gordon here, and before heading to Belize, Trey Holiday and I had to make sure we linked up with our good friends over at Market Street Shoes to, of course, grab a few things for the trip. From bags to socks, shoes, sunglasses, earrings, and more. Before going on any trip, make sure you stop at Market Street Shoes. Trust me, you'll find just what you need to make your trip not only enjoyable, but fashionable.
Hey y'all, T-Dub here, letting you know about another art funding opportunity. For culture recovery funding for individuals is available now, and here's what you need to know to apply. Are you a cultural producer who has been impacted by the pandemic? If you answered yes, but what is a cultural producer? Well, you are a cultural producer if your work, paid or unpaid, is dedicated to creating cultural experiences in any discipline or at any stage of your career. Some examples include exhibit designers, museums educations, archivists, restoration professionals, curators, history researchers, artists, of course, and more. And understanding that grant language can sometimes feel exclusive to specific people, using terms like cultural producer is one of the ways For Culture seeks to broaden its scope of applicants. In other words, this funding is for you. And look, the application fatigue is real. I get it, they get it. But the For Culture staff is here to walk you through it. They have grants from $1,000 to $12,000, so please don't miss out. The deadline to apply is Wednesday, February 2nd. Head to forculture.org/recovery to get information on virtual group workshops, application support, language translation, and more.
All right, welcome back to the morning update show. And yeah, you see the slide right there. Feel good Friday. Man, that's all I can do is 4 days these days. I'm glad I'm off tomorrow, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a jam-packed show. We got a lot coming at you guys for Feel Good Friday. And so, as always, we want to leave the week, end it off with y'all feeling good. So looking forward to it all.
I'm going to tell you that, thank God, even though it was a story that ended sad, but thank God that we had Sydney Brownstone with us here earlier this week. I look back on this week. That's just such a, I think about it, I was like, man, that's such a highlight. It's such a special show and moment and everything else. And something real positive,
It really was. And honestly, I've shared that article with others, and it's just impactful. Even the way that the story was written. We talk about, centering humanity all the time. And really, it's about compassion when we think about it. It's about empathy. It's about showcasing that for our fellow people. And, Sydney and Erica Schultz, the photographer for the entire piece, they really did that in a way that was so impeccable. And I really, honestly, I hope that story gets more attention because it deserves it. It's showcasing Rahima, so we get this real personal story around it, but it also showcases so much of the system and people like Rahima and what they're having to go through in terms of the hoops they have to jump through just to survive. And so I was so moved by it. I've been talking about it all week, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you, Sydney Brownstone and Erica Schultz.
Yeah.
All right, man, this thing is like peeling an onion. You ain't heard me say that one in a while, right? It's
layers.
Like it's just peeling an onion, and every layer that you get is like it's even more to it. This OPA report that came out, and basically, said that this captain was there grinning, and he sparked this idea of like, hey, this is what we do to get the protesters away from the precinct or whatever. It's like, I'll just be honest, in my opinion, the OPA report at this point was crap. It's like I kept saying it's full of holes. It's full of holes. And if you saw me yesterday there at that press conference when Council Member Herbold was like, "Oh yeah, we want to get more information," I said, "Ma'am, 90% of the information you're looking for comes from the police. It ain't like there's other people holding the information. You know what I'm saying? They have the information, just not being forthcoming." So then, it came out yesterday that this thing that just went from like, oh, here's just one captain, he sparked this idea, it wasn't put together well, it wasn't whatever, to now what we found out through this email there is that SPD over there with the EOC, let me say EOC, or Emergency Operations Center, which is right over here, actually just 2 blocks from us, man, the SPD was sitting there feeding them information, and the person who was in charge of the EOC at the time, I think, had the rank of an assistant chief. And now, so this is what Harrell was talking about yesterday. They didn't explain a lot there. Apparently, Harrell and other people talked to this assistant chief who was running the EOC, and the EOC and this assistant chief was talking about, I thought it was real. I was going to get the National Guard. I was going to get this and that and everything else, right? So here you have all this stuff happening at EOC, and I talked to so many people who were in that actual building that day. People from different departments across the city. Some people still with the city, some people not with the city. Everything else, right? And they were like, "Yeah, man, we all thought this thing was going down." Parks. There was an email sent to Parks that no park employee should show up to volunteer park or to Cal Anderson. Right? SPU was sitting there doing their thing. All of these agencies doing everything else. And the crazy thing is you got this assistant chief who was at the EOC talking about, oh man, I thought it was real. And I activated, maybe. But when you talk, so I talked to officers who were on the street that day, you know what I'm saying? Patrolmen who were on the street, they said that they were told, stay off the channel. So you got the actual officers who were like, yo, we was told stay off the channel. And you got an assistant chief who's over there running the EOC who's like, man, I thought this thing was so real. You see what I'm saying, man? People just be playing. It's just an onion that just keep peeling. Then you got Meyerberg, who never reached out to EOC, never reached out to EOC and his OPA. This will tell you right here, and people ain't heard me say this ever, that, man, the oversight system here, my friend, imagine OPA's job was to get to the truth, and OPA Director Meyerberg intentionally did not go to the EOC because of some, I'm only supposed to talk to this person, that person. Let me tell you something, though. Meyerberg staffed the EOC. Years ago, during May Day, when he was in Pete Holmes' office, Meyerberg staffed the EOC. He was there. So he knows how everything works in coordination with SPD, with Spock, with EOC, and everything else. Meyerberg has been in the EOC. He staffed it as a lawyer when he was working there for Pete Holmes during May Day. So if nothing else, even if it was out of OPA's purview, Meyerberg could have been like in his close case summary, although this EOC, we can't whatever investigate, I would, as a footnote, whatever body can investigate that should see what the conversation was in EOC. He been there. He worked in EOC during May Day. He saw the flow of information from how it comes in from SPD to all the other things. He's quoted. It's all going to come out later on this afternoon, man. You know what I'm saying? And so for Meyerberg, who worked a protest May Day years ago in the EOC, to now have this thing come out, this Proud Boys thing right here come out, and he never, not once was like, let me go over there to the EOC and talk to them. You see what I'm saying? It ain't like he a layman, didn't really know how they get down or anything like that. He worked in there. But the thing is and just like the city has dripped all of this information slowly on the citizens of Seattle, now the drip is coming back for all of these people right here. You see what I'm saying? And I mean, it's just, man, there's so much stuff this coming out. Carolyn Bick put out an article last night in the South Seattle Emerald. Check that out. That Grinning in the OPA report said that they lost their mutual aid partners there on the 7th or the 8th. And that was one of the mutual aid being other police agencies. And that was one of the reasons why they came up with this hoax. She put out a letter that the Snohomish County Sheriff, she got an email from the Snohomish County Sheriff. Snohomish County Sheriff on June 7th came down. They were at the South Precinct, then the North Precinct. They said they went to the North Precinct. SPD officers refused to respond to calls. So Snohomish County Sheriff officers were responding to calls in Seattle with no SPD radio, no support, no nothing. They were even writing citations with Snohomish County, whatever citation books. On the 7th, the Snohomish County Sheriff was so mad at what was going on in SPD and their failure to even respond to their own calls that on the morning of the 8th, Snohomish County Sheriff declined mutual aid to the Seattle Police Department. But if you listen to Grinning, and you listen to that OPA report, it tells you that, mutual aid agencies pulled out because of protest violence. You see what I'm saying? Narratives matter, Trey Holiday.
Oh my gosh. I mean, first of all, that is a litany of information. This is one of the things where I promise you, once again, we see that it's on folks to dig deeper, right? If we just take the first level of, investigative reporting that comes out from OPA, we've already talked about the restrictions of OPA. We, when Omari was interviewing Meyerberg, it was all this red tape he had to work around in order to do investigations, which to me is another important part of how this system really fails the citizens. When you have an oversight body that is supposed to be able to hold police accountable, literally Office of Police Accountability, the idea is that they have all this red tape and they can't talk to this one and they can't do this and they can't do that. They only have to, this one lane that they can go down, showcases that there really isn't a real push for the opportunity to hold police accountable. And here we have this case right here that keeps on, it's the case that keeps on giving, right? In terms of all of the information that's been restricted from the public, all of the ways that they've tried to maneuver this information to make it seem like it's only this little piece when it starts to spread wider and larger. And you understand that there's so much more involved, though.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is the street, like the cops that I talk to, like trying to follow up on this story that I reach out to, they want the truth to come out because they're like, man, this was dumb from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, there's people out there who are trying to build relationships with different communities in the city. Now this just ruins their credibility with everybody else. Like they're not happy about this. So you know what I'm saying? This joint is wild. I mean, like I said yesterday. Oh, and I forgot to upload this slide. I might have to do this after Basis and put it back in there. But it shows there yesterday. So here's how cold it was. If you go to my Twitter, it's there. Lisa Herbold, council member Herbold, said that she called Chief Best when she got calls from the constituents saying, hey, the Proud Boys and everything else. She called Chief Best, and Chief Best told her, basically, don't be more skeptical. You know what I'm saying? Don't believe everything in the media. At the exact same time, the EOC was fully activated. I mean, it was already up and running, but they were activated now around this threat. And you got an assistant chief who's like, oh, we might even have to call in the National Guard, apparently, right? And so on one side, here's SPD over here, here's the chief, But I will say this, though. Right? Before we put Best all the way under the bus, right? I will say this. How long? It's going on 2 years that I've been saying from jump. I was saying this back in June of 2020. I was like, you know what? It's all kinds of microaggressions and mini coups happening in the Seattle Police Department that Best don't know about, and it's happening on our watch. Remember? This is nothing new. I've been saying that for hella. I was like, man, these guys are doing a lot of stuff over here or whatever. Now with this, I don't know. She said that she didn't know, but we've seen it. We've seen these guys, I mean, it's the full story on so many things. And it's not my job to pull out the full story. It's my job to uplift Black people. You know what I'm saying? And everything else. But clearly I'm in this story at this moment. But when this full story of what happened here comes out, I think people are going to realize there's so many storylines playing out. Chief Best surrounded herself with people who was against her best interest from jump. You know what I'm saying? And worked against her best interest. 100%. I don't think she even realized that until she left the force.
Yeah, this is something that I think is a whole other narrative and storyline that, is going to, maybe one day come out of this CHOP era, is the idea that it was, this protest that caused Chief Best to want to resign, when really you just said it. And people in the community been saying it, that there was always this tension about this amazing Black woman taking this chief position of the Seattle Police. And so many in community have had a multitude of conversations around this. It wasn't about this movement around, police accountability that caused Chief Best to need to resign. It was almost as if they used this as a ruse to make sure that she was going to be the most uncomfortable. Let's start at the top and cut her salary when we're talking about reimagining policing. And honestly, that's a whole nother narrative. So when we talk about Chief Best, what she did and did not know, we've been talking about this since the closing of the East Precinct.
Over a year and some change. I've been sitting here saying that, man, this chief has people in her organization actively working against her best interests. And don't worry, I mean, one day all of this stuff is going to come out. You know what I'm saying? And we can only do our part, and we can only, say what it is and everything else. But I can tell you this, is that, man, I am so disappointed. And you ain't never heard me say this, man. I'm so disappointed on like how this continues to play out, and the drip that's around it. You know what I'm saying? Mayor Harrell, I wanted to say Coach Harrell because he come with that vibe over there. Hey, Jake. Yeah, this guy's here. I think, and everybody stay with us here for 1 second. Let's see what we got here. I think one of our viewers sent us something. Yeah, actually he did. This is good looking out. Aww. So Andrew Vroom, thank you, Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew Vroom sent us lunch today, and it just arrived over here. So thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it. It's some big bags
you're
too.
The gift that keeps on giving, Andrew. Yeah, we appreciate you.
It's gonna be some good stuff, so we can't wait to get into that. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you. This is live TV.
Oh, there we go.
You know what I'm saying? It happens right here. The thing is, Trey Holiday, is that Mayor Harrell has an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like, the opportunity is 100% right there. Mayor Harrell, come on, man. EOC, I don't know. I think it fits underneath his executive branch. So, man, let's just have the people. Man, somebody say something. Won't nobody make no statement. You see what I'm saying? And it's fine. And everybody pointed at Chief Diaz yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Put Chief Diaz over there on this island, and it's almost like it gives a visual representation that Chief Diaz was the chief at the time. You know what I'm saying? Chief Diaz was an assistant chief at the time. You know what I'm saying? Chief Diaz also one of the people who actually, when you talk about people respecting community, Chief Diaz has spent decades working over there, especially in South Seattle, gun violence reduction and all kinds of other. You know me, man. I'm always just call it like I see it. You know what I'm saying? Chief Diaz leads the Seattle Police Department, and we putting this information out now 2 years later, almost, unfortunately, that's taken this long. But you know what? We got to keep things in context. And just like I said yesterday, that people they're saying too many buts instead of ands. There are too many equivalencies. Man, take everything piece by piece by piece.
You know what? And I will say this too. This is another thing that we can really learn. You can't have this falling on one officer, now the chief, for him to fall on the sword on this one. It is clear that this was a coordinated effort by multiple entities, multiple individuals, and the ideas that we're just now really seeing how much it unfolds. This is not going to fall on one person for them to fall on the sword on this.
Because people is being mad performative. You know what I'm saying? And like, man, so let's be very clear. You know, the thing is, Chief Diaz was not the chief of police on June 8th, 2020. Chief Diaz, from everything that we've seen around our investigator, was nowhere near any of this ruse or anything else. And for Chief Diaz to now be singled out as like, oh, is it, man, yes, he needs to be singled because this is his force today. You know what I'm saying? And he's very much accountable for his force today. But he wasn't the chief then, you know? And that's what I'm saying is just like, man, and guys have known about this. They have known about this report. And, you know, I don't know when all these guys that were making all these moves over there at City Hall and everything else, and Meyerberg is now over there. You know, this is the first time I want to see the timeline on this, because this is the first time, think about this, Trey Holiday, that OPA has put out a report this heavy. And the police didn't already have a statement, you know, because the police are supposed to get it a few days in advance and everything else. And then, you know, OPA puts out something and then it's always on the SPD blog. Like, hey, man, you know what? Here is you know, our take on whatever. SPD yet to speak. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just curious about the timeline on this of how this even moved from OPA over to SPD and everything else. And man, all I'm saying is this, is that we have to ask ourselves a real serious question. And, you know, I'd be real reserved about these kind of issues, Trey. I'm always wanting to give the benefit of the doubt and everything else. I'd be real reserved. We have to ask ourselves that if the oversight, if the watchdog didn't even consider talking to the EOC that night, because it was up and activated, if they didn't consider it, man, how focused were they on the truth? And if it was out of their purview to consider it, why not put a footnote in the closed case summary? Hey, out of our purview, maybe a different organization or group can follow up with EOC. But you see what I'm saying? If we ain't asked no questions here, this thing would have been closed and would have been moved on and everything else.
Why it's really interesting, and I'll be real honest, because from my own purview, it's you know, we have people that, you know, all this truth may not even come out until some folks retire, because they're trying to protect themselves or protect people that they know that were in the heart of this thing, right? There's a lot of officers who are not speaking out and really telling the truth. But again, it goes back to this kind of you know, culture within SPD of protecting its own, you know, blue backing blue and all of this kind of such. But it is interesting, and you just said it, and this is something that I was thinking in the beginning, was we seen how OPA seemed to tote the line. There was so much community discussion around, man, ain't nobody, you know, there's no real effect over there at OPA. They're not really holding police accountable, all of that. And then when this came out, it seemed like it was like, whoa, okay, you know, OPA is going to put it out there that, yeah, this was a police hoax. This was a ruse. It wasn't true. And it ended up in this way. And here's kind of some of the parties that we know were involved, but they're no longer in the police force. It was still a little bit of touting the line, but it was almost like it was more truth than what we've been getting before. And now to know that there's so much more layers underneath this, and now Meyerberg is going to be away from OPA. This is interesting to me, because once again, we got police who are no longer a part of the force. We got Meyerberg who's not going to be part of OPA. This to me is really where it's at, because you start to see these shifting parts, and it's almost like people are playing chess. That's what it looks like to me, moving pieces on the board.
I think to really be real, if people have any hope of keeping any credibility around OPA, and now Director Meyerberg has moved into Harrell's administration, somebody better get on the good foot and explain here what just happened. Somebody, because I'm going to tell you, Harrell's administration is going to be tainted. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is a big glaring hole in Meyerberg's staff, the EOC, during a May Day protest. He's quoted as saying how he sees how you police communications come in and do this, this, and that. And bruv, you ain't think of talking to them? You ain't tell nobody else to talk to them? Man, they need to take this opportunity. And this is the funny thing, right? Is that people are talking about, well, policy change, this and that. Every time somebody asks me about a policy change, I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. Let me put some truth in it. Let's deal with this issue right here, right now. Because that's what people do. They give you the warm fuzzy. Oh, we've changed the policy. We've changed this and that. Nah, man, I don't talk about no policy change. We need the truth of what happened here to come out first. You know what I'm saying? If questions were not asked here about this, these people talking about specs audio and me taking it to OPA, this is a whole nother bomb that's just dropped right here. That holy shit, you guys never even talked to the EOC, and they'll tell you there's no other evidence. That's the other thing. The OPA report says there's no other evidence. But there's hella, I talked to at least 20 people yesterday who was in the EOC that day. They was there. They were like, yeah, man, I was there. It was crazy. We got this email. We had to go do this, that, everything else. It was there. This is a big hole. And City Hall needs, man, they need to fix. You know what I'm saying? Harrell said yesterday that agreed that there's all these gaps. This is your opportunity over at City Hall right now. You know what I'm saying? If you guys want to keep any semblance of credibility, man, put it out. Put it out. And something needs to be explained here as to why OPA did not talk to anybody in EOC or make a footnote that somebody should talk to someone in EOC.
Following the paper trail. I mean, here we are talking about, what police didn't and did not say, that the fact that there's gaps because people are not cooperating. But when you have emails, that means you have an actual paper trail to be able to follow. And so it is on somebody to be able to follow that paper trail. Now, I still have issues with the fact that it's not OPA. I don't think that they should be restricted on who they're talking to or whatever else. But for now, it needs to be clear that there's got to be an entity, a body, an agency that can follow this paper trail to get to the truth, because ultimately what's happening here is another example of why people do not trust these systems. The exact reason why they say, no, the systems are set up in a very specific way. People say the systems are broken. No, they're working exactly as they were intended to work, which really is to not work really at all. It's to keep certain powers in play. It's to keep protections for certain entities at play, while the public are the ones that are really suffering, because here we got a lot of different people that were involved in this day specifically, and we talked about that from the residents to protesters, the people who were coming from work, hearing all this. It was a spread. It was widespread to so many more people than just between police and protesters. And the idea is that nobody's following the paper trail to get to the truth when there's emails out there. Come on,
and this is what I'm saying. This is why I pushed back on people early on when they were like, hey, have been listening to the police radio anyway. And I was like, nah, bruv, you know what I'm saying? This is a much bigger thing, and at the time I was talking about, the neighborhood, the residents impacted. Look at this. You had city employees that have been activated out there in the field, you know what I'm saying, in preparation of something here. So this isn't even just, protesters, residents, businesses. It's city employees activated and everything else. And like I said, if that email hadn't leaked out, we just had to take it for where it is. I will say this: if there's any hope for OPA to claim any credibility here, and for Meyerberg to have his reputation intact over here in this Harrell administration, somebody need to make this make sense. Somebody needs to make this make sense, that after 14 months, no one thought about going to the EOC. After 14 months of investigation, no one thought about talking to the Emergency Operations Center, where all communications and everything else for that night were activated. There was an SPD officer who was there, an assistant chief who was running the EOC. No one at OPA thought to talk to, hey, let me go talk to whoever from SPD is over at the EOC as part of this investigation. Y'all got to make this make sense, man.
what? Another thing, and this is real interesting because we're talking about people who get paid well to do these jobs, and yet the jobs aren't getting done. So once again, this is now taxpayer money from levies, all these different ways that these kinds of agencies and entities are funded, and yet we have a lack of responsibility, a lack of credibility. Let's be honest here. The community does not have a lot of interest or faith that, hey, these guys are going to do a great job. They're going to give us the report we need. They're going to make sure it's all transparent. No, honestly, when we talk about having the opportunity for the mayor, for the Harrell administration to really change the game here, we're talking about full transparency. And that's what's needed right now, because we're in a digital age where we can have reporters like Omari who are going to dig deep, who eventually uncover some stuff like this. And then we have people sending emails that are saying, look, we got this email, so we were over here on high alert as well. We have a digital world that we live in. So the ideas of information coming out are real. Man, do your jobs. You're getting paid well to do these jobs. Stop pussyfooting around it. Stop touting the line. Stop being in the middle. At the end of the day, you got to make a choice to be honest and be able to look yourself in the mirror when you go home and know you did everything you could to get this out there, instead of being like, hey man, I did what the little bit that I could do and the rest is on somebody else. No, take full ownership of this, man. That's what I'm saying. You're getting paid money to do this.
Listen, Councilmember Herbold is the head of public safety. Council member, who should be the most irate about this, to be honest with you, and actually has some power and some authority, is Council member Lisa Herbold, who's the head of public safety. Man, Lisa Herbold, man, they ran game on you, man. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a whole operation that was going on over here in the EOC. Council member Herbold, are you going to stand in the gap here to be able to force the truth to come out about what occurred, ma'am? Because there's a big problem here, ma'am. When you were looking for answers, the EOC was active. They were activated. All the answers were down there, ma'am. You're elected to the city council at the time. You were here. You know what I'm saying? You're the head of public safety. You said yesterday that you want answers, Councilmember Herbold. Man, you know what? Here's the breadcrumbs. Here's the paper trail. Councilmember Herbold, can you figure out why the OPA wouldn't talk to the EOC? Can you figure out how the EOC was activated? Nobody even called it. They were talking about they wanted to call back in the National Guard. How come ain't nobody call you guys? Ain't nobody call the city council? That's a big deal. So we'll see. We'll see the intentionality, because this is wide open, is blaring and glaring. So we'll see the intentionality of the elected officials who are here if they feel that getting to the bottom of this issue is worth it to the citizens of the city of Seattle. I told these people this was going to be a time bomb. I had no idea it was all this. This one was like, man, put this out. I told them, please, I pleaded. There's emails, I'm pleading. Man, this is going to be bad no matter what. Put it out so people can resolve and their life go on. Man, this shit wasn't going to never come out. You know what I'm saying? This was a high pressure campaign for this to even ever come out. And that's why it comes out and it's all in bits and pieces here and everything else. But I would say this, that, either City Hall can get in front of this and really bridge this gap, or the truth, and just put the truth out so a city can get to the bottom of it and heal and build a foundation, or it's going to be drip, drip, drip. But now it's going to be the media. Drip, 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 because it's going to come out either way.
Yeah, this is exactly why when we talk about opportunities, man, step up to the opportunities, be bold in the approach. Now is the time, right? Now is the time. I mean, we talked about this ever since the protests even popped off, as we were encouraging council members to get out there and we were trying to figure out where was the leaders, right? Where were the elected officials and people that have been, leading on certain efforts to really step up and take control of the situation. Now we have this trickle down effect of this situation, and it is time again for us to see how they're going to move forward and really take some bold action here, and not do the antiquated thing of let's make the public wait another 14 months. Let's make them wait another 2 years because we're just going to, do some little bits here and there. No, if you're listening to this plea, you would actually take the opportunity to be bold at this point because it's necessary.
That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Credibility is on the line. It's all going to come out one way or another. Either they can get ahead of it and be bold and be transformational, or it's just going to drip, drip, drip over people's heads. You know what I'm saying? It's coming. It is coming no matter what. And I mean, these are questions that need to be answered. You know, I mean, people need to move on, including us. You know, like I said, this isn't what we was wanted to do. Man, even our content calendar, this shit is taking up so much time. You know what I'm saying? And everything else. This isn't what we want to be doing. This is a position that, you know, that we're just in right now. And, you know, I tell people, and I'll leave it with this, we got to get the basic stuff, is that there's enough wrong. This whole thing was crazy. There's enough wrong, and people need to stop with the but. Stop with the conflating and the moral equivalencies. There's enough wrong stuff all the way around here. And it's okay to take it one thing at a time. It's all right. But, man, let's just do what's right. And let's just get this all out, man. You know, I'm not the only person. I'm just a person with the microphone. I'm not the only one that feels this way. And like I said, if you talk to a lot of police officers, they'll tell you like, yeah, man, truth just needs to come out. You know, this isn't some anti-police thing or whatever. It's just whatever the issue is, good, bad, or ugly. Let's get it out.
Let's get it out, and let's make sure that people can have the opportunity to move on. And also, if you really care about, you know, community trusting these systems, trusting police accountability and these kind of oversight committees, let's really find a way to make sure that this is a transparent process so that community can see it go from one point to the other and really follow this instead of these bombshells dropping in our laps. And then it's on us to be like, man, here we go again. Honestly, we have the opportunity to make some real change here and to make some progress. And so I'm really hoping that that's the way that we take it, is to do something that is very transparent and doing it in a way that really moves it forward.
All right, got a handcrafted motion graphic right here. There it is, Besa Gordon. We got a nice recap from Besa, the Rewind with Besa, coming up right after this break. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
In the depths of Belize, the travelers come across the waters, harvesting with their hands, learning of resilience rooted deep in the lands. Culture thriving like a fire ablaze, sizzling with a pop and a chop, sharing its ways. Knowledge simmers and grinds into the hearts and minds, cutting away from the surface stories and colonial lies, boiling it down, breaking its shell as the truth pours out and gets plated collectively with love, spooned into bowls, feeding the soul. Garifuna, alive and strong at Palmetto Grove.
We invite you to be our guest at Disney's Beauty and the Beast. It's a tale as old as time. In a brand new production by the Fifth Avenue Theater. Return to the magic of live theater with one of the most enchanting musicals of all time. Disney's Beauty and the Beast at the Fifth, January 12th to February 6th. Tickets at fifthavenue.org.
Hey guys, Besa Gordon here. Let's do a quick recap of what has gone down over the last couple of days. First and foremost, in terms of local news, looks like Eric Bellinger and Sammy, yes honey, Sammy, if you're my age and aka about 32, you remember Sammy from back in the day when he did a song, I Like It, which was so popular. Well, these two have decided to team up and do a tour called the Vibes on Vibes Tour, and guess what? They will be right here in Seattle, Washington on April 3rd. In other Seattle news, it looks like Bumper Shoot is getting a little bit of a facelift. They actually decided to name a new producer, and believe it or not, one of the people on the team happens to be Steven Severon, one of the owners of Numos. In a recent interview with Seattle Times, Steven said, "It's not about us, it's really about the arts in the Pacific Northwest and what we have here, which is a treasure trove. There's so much cool blank that happens here, and you gotta dig for it a little bit. We're going to take some of that digging out for the people that either don't want to or don't have time and put it on a grander scale for people to experience it." I'm totally here for it, and I definitely can't wait to see what you end up doing with Bumper Shoot later on this year, Steven. Now, ironically, Taco Bell and Subway are both selling chicken wings. Neither of these companies sell chicken like that. However, if you go to your local grocery store, child, not only can you not find chicken, you can barely even grab lettuce. On top of that, it looks like even Wingstop, as we all know, Wingstop is all they sell is chicken legs and, or shall I say, party wings. They've had to move over to chicken thighs. So I'm not too sure how the heck Taco Bell and Subway of all restaurants are able to keep up with the chicken wings, but I feel like it's a little bit suspect. And if any of you have tried it lately, I really hope that you are feeling okay. Rapper Young Thug and Gunna were recently kicked off of their private jet. Now, I'm really not sure of exactly what happened here, okay? I'm gonna play a little video for you guys so you can see a little clip of what Young Thug is saying, but from what we know, Gunna didn't have his ID, and apparently somebody disrespected one of the flight attendants.
I got a mom, bro. I got 8 sisters. I'm not disrespecting a woman. When she told you that somebody disrespected her, you supposed to sit. If you kicking me off the plane and making me, if you, because they, yes, I'm recording. I'm a superstar. Okay. But I asked him what happened. He said somebody disrespecting him. I'm like, okay, who disrespect you? Okay. He couldn't tell me who disrespect him. Okay. Nobody has disrespect you. All right. Like, this is my artist. All the people on the plane, they some kin to us. They either with me or my artist. I'm the big dog here. Okay. So I'm gonna be the one talking. I said, what did we disrespect you about? Oh, one of my friends didn't have ID. The whole ID thing just ticked me off. I'm like, okay. You guys are taking off or landing?
Now again, it's still not 100% clear on what the heck went down. However, I did do a little bit of Googling just to make sure that it is true that you cannot ride on a private jet without an ID. And you actually do. You need an ID or a passport to even get on there. So, I mean, no matter what, they all would have had to pull over and get off the plane. So I'm not too sure as to why it was such a big deal. I did see a clip where Young Thug mentioned to the police officer that they wanted to see whoever was on the plane's ID, and they showed him a picture of it. Well, with all due respect, good sir, your ID is not like your COVID vaccination card. You can't just go taking pictures of it and handing it to people. So I don't really know what happened there. What I do know is that later on in the day, they were looking for another private jet to get their bus to New York. Hopefully they made it. Kanye West is actually dropping a new, I want to say 3-part documentary on his life. And guess what? It's going to be on Netflix, okay? It's called Genius, of course. And I want to say it's airing February 16th, or shall I say the first part will air February 16th. And what I think is so dope about this, Kanye West has been filming these documentary clips for the last 21 years. If you actually watch the preview, you literally see him in the chair getting his mouth fixed. And as you guys know, years ago, he ended up having to like have surgery on his mouth. I can't remember why. I can't remember exactly what happened, but actually, you know what? I believe he was in a car accident, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure somebody will put exactly what happened to Kanye West and why he had to go get that mouth surgery down in the comments. But either way, he has all of these clips, and you would think that some of them are a little bit staged, but no. You even see clips of a young Harrell and many other people that Kanye West worked with back in the day. Maya Angelou is apparently going to be on The Quarter, and as amazing as I think this is, I find it a little bit unfortunate that they decided to, one, put her on The Quarter at this particular point in the game. It almost seems like it's a bit of a distraction. Why? Because you go to Whole Foods, you go to CVS, you go to a lot of different places, and they aren't even taking cash. So are these quarters going to be collectibles? Again, I think it's amazing, but we're also also still waiting for Harriet Tubman to be on that $20 bill. But again, this is definitely a time where you're going to places like Whole Foods where they're allowing for you to pay for your groceries with the palm of your hand by scanning your phone, so that way you're using your Apple Wallet. Everything is becoming very, very touch-free. So for them to wait until now, I'm feeling a little bit of a way. It's almost giving you just might as well make these quarters collectibles, because again, if you go to Whole Foods, you're not paying with cash unless you have a cashier check you out. So on one hand, I think this is great. On another hand, I think it's convenient and a lightweight slap in the face, and it should have been done a lot sooner. With that being said, I would love to get your thoughts on every single thing that we talked about. That is all I have for you on today's Rewind with Besa. Of course, you can keep up with me on social media at Besa Gordon, and you already know, listen to me weekdays on Cube 93.3 from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
All right. Well, first, clapback culture tonight, 7 o'clock. And thank you, Besa. And, Besa's grandmother passed away earlier this week. Oh. You know what I'm saying? And I told Besa, I was like, you know what, man, don't worry about it and everything else. And she was like, this is something that brings her joy, and making these segments. So thank you so much, Besa.
Thank you, Besa. Sending you love.
All right. Real quick, overlay here tomorrow, T-Dub.
Yeah, T-Dub tomorrow on Feel Good Friday. We have, a few things that we're going to be diving into with my girl T-Dub, and I'm excited that she'll be able to join us for Feel Good Friday. Also have a couple other guests. We'll be talking about some events over the weekend, and I'll be doing a recap of the Kwanzaa Awards that happened last Saturday. So looking forward to it.
Kwanzaa Awards. All right. Big shout out to, like I said, Andrew Vroom. Yeah. Sent us lunch here, man.
I know.
What I'm saying? Because it's always a struggle. We're trying to find something to eat down here, so appreciate it. Where's it from, Trey?
This right here is from Plum Bistro, one of my favorite shops on Capitol Hill. Vegan and Black owned, and amazing food. Honestly, you won't even really know it's vegan. So, you're going to enjoy it all.
All right, I'm sure I will. We're over time. I know you got something going on. Any last words?
Yeah, just please see yourself as part of the solution. It's clear that we need more people on the front lines. Make sure that you find a way to be part of the solution out there, guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is it for me. I get this camera right here. Come on. This is it for me for this week. Thank God. You know what I'm saying? I'm out of here. This stuff. I mean, like I said, man, it takes a toll. It takes a toll, man. We've been carrying a lot of this stuff for a long time, and we're just, man. It's a lot, I look forward to putting it all down and moving on. And I'm hopefully other people, other stakeholders here feel the same about all of that. It's always a cloud that comes in here when this protest stuff comes up, That being said, I'm like I said, I'm glad I'm out of here. And you got Feel Good Friday tomorrow. All right. Man, I like the way that we end the show now, with Shayna Shepherd and her song Hope, because, no matter what, we're always optimistic. The glass is always half full. There is always better days ahead. And so optimism is still alive and well over here in the Black Media Matters studios. On that note, I want to remind everybody, go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m. for Feel Good Friday. Peace.
What do I see through a lens of fear? 1,000 little steps to go. What do I fear after all these years? Lord knows I don't even know. I've been running on the edge of a sundial, sleeping in the shadow. I've been begging you to see me, then hiding beyond the unreachable. Looking out left on a right-hand turn, just trying to make a deal. Lazy shoes and love is a love that churn. That's the kind of food that heals. I've been searching for the end of an era, waiting to be ready. The world is bigger than a moment. Be steady, that's how you can feel it's real. But I feel naked in my new clothes, 'cause I got used to hiding the holes. This whole world got new tricks and I'm in the thick of it. This I swear I'm already sick of it. At least I found the antidote. Oh. I know no one is a shadow. I know no one is a shadow.